I will therefore proceed to introduce us to the panelists, the able panelists that we have today. The lady and gentleman who chose to set the time to join us for this conversation, to share their many years of experience, the time they've spent honing their skills, they've spent improving and growing and learning, sharing all that with us today. And so I will start us off with Dr. David Thuku. Dr. David Thuku. Dr. David is driven by a passion to catalyze positive impact in leadership practice across Africa through coaching and leadership development. So he specializes in facilitating personal and team effectiveness, organizational transformation, and culture change by empowering leaders to be their true, authentic selves in self-application and growth. So in addition to serving in the ICF Kenya chapter board since 2020, David serves and has served in other boards for commercial, non-profit education organizations, including EcoBank Kenya, Child Fund Kenya, and KCA University. So David holds a doctorate in business administration from University of Liverpool, UK, and a master's in business administration from the University of Nairobi, bachelor's of education from Kenyatta University, and a postgraduate diploma in marketing from Marketing Institute of Singapore. He is also a practitioner of executive coaching from the Academy of Executive Coaching and certificate in systemic team coaching at Academy of Executive Coaching too. So he's an ICF credential professional certified coach, certified Hogan's assessment practitioner, and certified global coaching index practitioner. So with many years that he served in the banking industry, over 3 decades in leadership experience, he long served in the banking industry as an executive at Standard Chartered Bank, Barclays, Family Bank, where he was the MD and the CEO until 2018, where he delved into fully catalyzing leadership practice across Africa. So Dr. Thuku, we'd love to hear from you. Welcome. Please say hello.
You. Thank you, Sharon, for that introduction. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Good to see all of you. And good to see quite a number of familiar faces as well, familiar names.
Amazing. Good to have you, Sam. And secondly, I will go ahead and introduce our other speaker, Evelyne Munyoki. She is the Director of Human Resources at Britam Group. So Evelyne is a seasoned C-suite business and HR leader, leadership development professional, and executive coach with over 20 years of senior leadership management experience in various industries. Evelyne has senior level board engagement experience at board level. Evelyne is inspired by partnering with individuals to realize their full potential and find meaning and good in what they do. Her passion is impacting lives, one life at a time. Evelyne is currently the Director of Human Resources at Britam Group, an insurance and financial services company. Prior to joining Britam, she held senior leadership roles in various industries and sectors. She's currently a board member of Ambref Health Africa in Kenya and serves in the HR and finance audit and risk board committees. So she holds a master's degree in international business administration and a bachelor's of arts in land economics. She's a certified senior HR professional and a member of the Institute of Research Management. She's also a certified executive leadership coach and certified global coaching index, in addition to being a certified professional career coach. So she comes with a wealth of knowledge and experience. So Evelyne is also a doting mom to her daughter and enjoys traveling, farming, and is an avid reader. Evelyne, are you here with us? Please say hello.
Good evening, good morning, good something, wherever you are. So nice to be here. And just a privilege of being able to have this conversation with the people on this webinar. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for joining us and for choosing to join us in this conversation. And it's really interesting to have an avid reader as one of the speakers and to have a writer. I recently finished reading Dr. Thuku's book. So I think it's impressive. Aside from the great knowledge in the marketplace, great education, we truly have richness with us here today. So I invite you, Namwaka, to take this on from here.
Sharon, thank you so much and welcome everybody to this amazing conversation. My name is Namwaka Radoli. I work in the Business Development Department. And as you can tell, I'm a very happy person, very exciting, I love energy. And just to mention that the team that we have today, the panelists that we have today are rich in terms of knowledge, rich in terms of experience. And we look for, those expectations that you've just shared with us on the chat. We'll definitely tackle some of these expectations that you've shared with us. And just to recap on what Sharon had mentioned, when we think about priming our teams for success, considering the time and era we are in as a country, different nations, Africa, and of course across the globe, a lot of things are happening. And maybe as a leader, you're here and you're asking yourself, so how do I ensure that I meet the bigger picture that we have? How do I ensure that the overarching goal that I have, by the time I'm reporting to the board at the end of this year, I have something substantial to report on, right? So asante sana, Evelyne, for accepting again to be part of this amazing conversation. Thank you so much, Daktari, for accepting to be part of this conversation. And just so that I don't take so much time, I'll just delve into the questions. And considering that one of the the highest poll that we received, the results from the poll that received was the highest was unclear expectations. And maybe just to begin with the poll questions. So most of the delegates here today feel like unclear expectations is one of the reasons to why we do not actually meet the goals that we set. Maybe if you can just comment on that before we delve into the meat of the conversation. I'll start with you, Evelyne. Karibu sana. What is your opinion on that? Is it unexpected, unclear expectations? Is it lack of resilience? Is it a lack of ownership? Or is it, like decision-making delays? I'd love to hear that from you.
Thank you. That's a really good question. And believe it or not, it's actually not unique to just ask here. I think there's a lot of other organizations and different I think leaders in very many spaces actually experience this in terms of what's really happening, this clarity about their goals, but also the other bigger piece is also, you may have the goals, but is it even attuned to a vision? Do you have the picture of success? Do you know what that destination looks like? But even if you have those goals, then whatever goals you have put in place, do you have a system of success that gets you there? So that execution capability, so there's layers of issues that come up with that. So the lack of clarity mainly comes from, okay, do we actually know what that big picture is? Are we starting with an end in mind, or is it underpinned on our foundation, on our purpose, on something? It has to be anchored on something, and as long as there's no anchor, then that ship will sail anywhere.
Well, that's really powerful. So are we anchoring, are we aligning our objectives and goals to the bigger picture? And what is this big picture anyway that we have? Is it clear enough? Thank you so much, Evelyne. And if I may ask Daktari, any contribution towards that?
Yeah, thanks, Namwaka. I think the addition I would add there is that many people set targets or objectives for the year, they don't achieve them, even at individual level, forget even now at team and corporate level. I'm sure many of us have set the 2025, this is what I will achieve. And I look at the reasons, I would categorize reasons into three broad categories. Really looking at, even before I set myself for 2025, what considerations do I make ahead of even setting, this is what I want for 2025. And then the second category of reasons is what happens within 2025. So for example, if I look at 2024, what happened in 2024, so that if I'm coming to the end of the year, I will not have achieved what I set to achieve in the beginning of 2024. And the third category of reasons is what happens at the end of the period I'm reviewing. If I'm reviewing 2024, and I set 15 goals, and out of the 15, I've met none. What happens to me? And the answer to those questions, so at the beginning, as what Evelyne was saying, what are those goals set? What is the foundation? What is the purpose that I'm getting to, and all that? And then within the year, what's the discipline that I use to follow through to make sure that those targets are met? And then at the end of the year, when I review, or at the end of the period when I review, what do I do? Do I just walk away from it and say, well, I didn't meet the 15, then I do what? I just set the same 15 for the next year. And then come at the end of the year, I still have the same 15. So it's really what I do before, during, and after the period that I set my goals for.
All right, thank you so much. So I hear purpose, I hear discipline, and when I talk about discipline, Evelyne alluded to the fact that we need to have systems of success, and then there's also that part of, yes, we have come to the end of the year, then what do I do? Do I just drop it, or do I gain lessons to enable me move to the next? And I think this sets a very good ground for our questions, and maybe just to think about the very first question, even as we think about the bigger picture, purpose, our goal, our vision for 2025. My question to you, Daktari, I'll start with you, Daktari. What are the emerging trends you foresee in 2025, based on considering the fact that our vision needs to be very clear, and how should teams prepare for these changes?
Thanks, Namwaka. 2025 is going to be a progression of 2024, in my view, with one big difference. Trump is a big consideration of what will emerge. As we start this conversation, we are just coming from hearing that he's decided that America will take over Gaza and build some nice facilities there and all that. Obviously, that sounds like just a statement, but I'm sure it will have different spin-offs depending on who is listening, how they are reacting to it. So the question of the fluidity within the regional and global space is something that everybody within whichever industry you are in is likely to be impacted. Closer here, we have DRC happening. So we have many things happening in the global ecosystem that impact where we are. The other thing is obviously the demographics of the people that we work with. The multi-generational workspace is something that will definitely have its impact. We have quite a number of generations working within the teams we are in. And then obviously the digital world, that ecosystem, and the spin-offs from that. And the technological advancement is something that obviously we cannot downplay. Now, what does that mean for us as leaders? It means then that we have to have the right tools in our leadership toolkit. Because if we have the tools that we've been using in previous years, which are not aligned to this very fluid dynamics, then those tools may not serve us well. And the other thing is obviously how quickly we retool, how we repurpose when things change, because things will change rapidly. How do we retool ourselves? How do we make ourselves relevant within the year? So there'll be things like as systems change, how well prepared for the risks that come with those, the cybersecurity risk and so forth. So that means we have to continuously keep training and retraining our teams is the way I would see 2025 and beyond.
All right. Thank you so much, Daktari. So, was there somebody saying something? Oh, sorry. So I hear preparedness, considering some of the things that we're already seeing. There's Trump with the one signature, or two, of course, the demographic or the different multi-generational workforce that we're experiencing in the market today. And of course, we cannot run away from the technology advancement. And when I think about this, Dr. has mentioned about tools that we need to consider, of course, when you're thinking about leadership. So, Evelyne, from where you sit, what are these tools that would actually help us even deal with emerging trends in 2025? Because we're already here, and I'm sure somebody is saying, I wish we had this conversation last year, probably during the third or fourth quarter, but we are already here. And I know some of us have already started off the year and we already have our plans in place. But what are these tools? And how do we repurpose ourselves just to ensure that even with the emerging trends that we are seeing today, we do not lose track of focus?
So the main thing, and I think something for also mentioning, highlighting some of those things. And one of the big ones, for example, we were having a very interesting conversation today that are we really prepared? I know we kind of saw the word AI, automation. It's really quite thrown around quite a lot. But when we really unpack that, a lot of people may not necessarily just appreciate the full import of what does that look like in terms of the employees that we will have, the team members we will have, and also the demographic that David talks about. He talks about the demographic that has some generational.
I'm sorry, Evelyne, we can't hear you quite clearly.
You can't? Okay. And now?
It's actually
better?
Much better. Yes.
Okay, so I've just increased the volume here and maybe speaking closer to my mic.
Okay.
So I was just saying that the conversations that are now going on in whether it's in boardrooms or in meetings, leadership meetings, is really around, are we ready for the employee? Not even of the future, because the future is here. So as leaders, are we really preparing ourselves in terms of what will that employee look like? And would I be the right person? Do I have a skill set to be able to lead this new sort of employee? But they're not really new. They've been evolving for a number of years. But I think it's just become quite evident that we have a completely different sort of employee. So one, they know a lot more than their leaders in most cases. So how do you lead in a situation where they're ahead of you in things like AI? They are ahead of you in things like creating agents to do the tasks. So they are not necessarily spending that much time. They are requiring you to be a lot more, provide more meaningful work and assignments. So what does that look like if you're not necessarily thinking like a leader to say, am I really looking at my skill around strategic foresight? Can I see what's ahead, even if the horizons have become so short and things are changing on a continuous basis, just like what David has said. Today you hear this about Trump, the next day there's a geopolitical shift in a different geography that then affects us even if we're not directly involved. So I think those are some of the things. So one, the strategic foresight skill, it should be part of your toolkit. I think one of the things is how do we get the skill to deal with the complexity, at the same time looking to simplify how things are. And that almost sounds like, I don't know what it's called. Is it an oxymoron or what it is? So complexity and simplicity in the same sentence, that's a bit interesting. So that's a second thing. The other thing is this art of just communicating and visioning to be able to give teams or people we work with the picture and really be articulate about what is it that we are trying to achieve. And when the picture changes, how quickly do you move? So that agility, whether it's a learning agility, but also an execution agility, because it means that you will course correct, you will pivot in directions that maybe you didn't anticipate or they were quite unprecedented. But you as a leader, are you able to say that in your toolkit, you are intentionally developing these skills for yourself so that you may be able to create that sense of almost a fluidity, because we are also in a bit of a fluid environment at the moment, but at the same time also create stability for the team. So that people are also not completely thrown off when the change happens. Are you able to articulate that change in a way that creates the momentum to keep going, but also at the same time they can see the big picture, but at the same time they're not feeling that the ground has shifted so much underneath their feet that they don't feel a sense of either psychological safety or stability, so that they can deliver, bring in their best selves to work. I think that's what I can say, maybe in a very short. So of course, there's one more thing I'd forgotten, sorry, which is we kind of underestimate the weight of what things like coaching and mentoring actually are doing in the workplace. And one of the biggest feedbacks we have received, for example, in my organization, is we need to dedicate more time to coaching and mentoring. And it's people telling you, not you going to supply coaching and mentoring. It's actually your employees telling you, we do need this. So for you as a leader, do you have that at disposition, that you can actually use the coaching skills, that you can actually mentor your teams? I think I'll stop there, because this can be a very wide topic.
And beautifully said, Evelyne. So we are thinking about having a strategic foresight. We are thinking about making those things that look very ambiguous, very simple and clear to your team members. We're also hearing a lot of communicating the big picture clearly, and of course what you've also talked about, the importance of just having strategic conversations. And I think that's what coaching is all about, having intentional conversations and mentorship. And that just brings me to the next question, which is based on, okay, we understand now where we are as the world, as the global village. We understand what the emerging trends look like and what they're likely to look like. And number two, we know the skill sets that we need, at least some of the skill sets that we need, just to make sure that we are managing, or rather we are moving through this season seamlessly, not seamlessly as such, but sort of seamlessly. Then I'm just thinking, then how do organizations then develop a clear organization based on what we've already had, and just ensure that they're also aligning what they do on a daily basis, or the goals that they have, to this vision that they have? And I'll request Dr. Rick just to talk about this a little bit, then we can come over to you, Evelyne.
Thanks, Namwaka. And Evelyne has talked about the complexity the world is. And tied to that, then, for us as leaders, we've got to simplify that for our people. Because life, after all, is meant to be simple, not complicated, brain surgery, rocket science stuff all the day. So as we set the vision, how do we then, as leaders, then make that simple? And I think about it in terms of 4 questions that we need to ask ourselves as we set that vision. Is really asking ourselves who we are as an organization and why we exist. So that if we can answer that to a 2-year-old, then we should be able to align our vision to that very simple reason of why we exist and who we are really. And if you answer that and then ask yourself the second question, who are our key stakeholders? Who do we exist for? And what are they looking out for in whatever it is that we'll be doing in 2025 or whichever year we are talking about? So if you think about your stakeholders and you think about why you exist, then ask yourself about the landscape ahead. How is the landscape looking? In 2025, what are those things? And we have just been talking about it in terms of the things we expect to see in 2025. Ask yourself how the landscape is going to be like. Then you marry these 3 questions, involving your stakeholders, not leaving them behind, because human beings like being involved in things that affect them. Get them to plug into then setting up what will be realistic, but will also be stretching enough, not things that are not achievable. And when you think about it, even at personal level, it's the same questions that you ask yourself. It's the issue about purpose. It's the issue about how the year is going to look like. Earlier today, I was involved in a conversation where somebody was saying they've been setting one goal in the year for the last 10 years. They set that goal in 2015 that before the end of this year, I'm going to have enrolled for a PhD. They were very ambitious. Today, that goal is still on their goals that before the end of this year, I'm going to enroll for a PhD. And listening to that conversation, one of the things I picked is that the evaluation of the landscape ahead has not been that good, because in that 2015, guess what was happening the year ahead? They were hoping to start a family and get children and so forth. Now, and also change jobs to a very exciting job. Now, that landscape was not going to be very conducive to then enrolling for a PhD and commit more time. And obviously, guess what? The kids came, they needed attention, they needed time. Success in the job needed time. So as the person is sitting and thinking, maybe I've been very ineffective in setting my goals, it's just aligning the landscape, because once you look at all those questions and you then ask yourself, what's reasonable, what is stretching? So that I don't just set things for the sake of setting for my team, and I've involved them in setting the vision for the next year. So that's how I would put it, Namwaka. Ask ourselves the right questions and then come up with something that is ambitious, but not unreasonable.
I like that. Something that is ambitious, but not unreasonable. And just asking yourself the right questions. And I like the way you have actually gone ahead and talked about just considering the landscape ahead of us. Over to you, Evelyne. Any comment on that?
Thank you. So thanks for that. I think I also chose to look at this, just listening to David, is maybe to ask ourselves, what derails you? What really derails you as a leader? And even go down to a personal level is So very good question. When you talk about a sabotaging culture, I think when you have to really unpack what that sabotaging culture is, I think it's important to
Have an amazing, amazing evening until we see you next time. Thank you, Evelyne. Thank you, Dr. Ari. And thank you, everyone. Jambo to all of us around Africa. Asante.